Hi everyone, welcome back. Today I will be updating you on what I've been knitting on through February, but I'm going to keep it real. This month has been a bit chaotic life-wise, so I've needed some easy wins and some quick knits, and for me that has been in the form of accessories, quick knits that I could complete, and I know I will get loads of wear and use out of them. Okay, so let's begin with my first finished object, which is what I'm wearing, which is the Pressed Flowers shawl by Amy Christophers. I really liked the slip stitch mosaic pattern, and I also really liked the bandana type cowls that Andrea Mowry has done for a lot of her new patterns. So I thought that the Amy Christophers stitch pattern would look amazing as a bandana cowl, and what I have produced is more like, I would say, like a slip over, but I think it works as a cowl as well. So I will stand up so you can have a better gander. So as I was knitting on it, I just kept thinking that it looks like burnt pizza. But actually the camera's picking it up quite nicely. Yeah, it's a slip stitch mosaic pattern. The pattern calls for 4 pattern repeats, but for the size that I wanted, I only did 2. I had trouble picking it up. I knitted it once, just, focusing on reading the pattern as I was knitting. But as I got to the second round repeat, it's pretty meditative while still keeping your interest. So each round slightly different. All I did was follow the pattern until I was happy with the size, and then for the shawl it would open up in a triangular shape, which I still have at the bottom here, but I simply seamed behind the neck really, so I've got a head opening. But yeah, so what I still might do is tighten the opening a little bit so that I get a little bit more coverage in the neck area. But otherwise, I mean, it's not so cold nowadays, so I don't mind sort of just throwing it over a light top for the end of February, March, springtime weather. We'll see how we go in the winter. But at the moment, well, like today, I'm just wearing it as a bit of a slip over, which is, quite nice. It's versatile in that way. But in all, so it's been washed and blocked, and in all, I'm pretty happy with it. Just a few details about the yarn. So the yarn I used, so this is what is left. So this is the main color yarn, and this is some Svensk Ull, which is some Swedish wool by Jabo, and it's 4-ply, 100% wool. It is quite rustic, but it's not itchy. So it's more rustic in the fact that it is quite rough feeling on the hands, but this feels a lot softer. It has been wet blocked, and yeah, it is feeling quite soft, and I think with age that will soften up quite nicely. It's not itchy at all, but then I'm not sensitive to rustic wools. I can pretty much wear that close to skin without any problem. The orange, I paired that with the orange, which is some Bloomsbury DK by the Yarn Collective, which is a merino wool, and it's in the colour russet, so it's slightly variegated. I don't usually knit with merino, but this was really nice. I really like the variegation. So I had a 100 skein of of this yarn, and I have about 52 grams left, so I can still make something nice with this. So yeah, so it's quite an economical knit. So that's probably like 150 grams in all I have here. And yeah, so that's my first finished object. Okay, so earlier this month, I realized that I didn't have a mindless stockinette project, and that just won't do, and I had to rectify that stat. So I decided that it was high time to make another linen bag. So a while back I made the dumpling bag by Pearl Soho, which is a free pattern, which is, it's a bit worse for wear now because I use it all the time. So I thought I would make another using their Blackbird linen. Yeah, so when I made this bag, I also bought some Blackbird linen for a t-shirt, and I also bought another skein for another bag. So, and I knew I wanted to get, you know, 2 bags because I love linen and I like knitted bags. So here we go. So this is my linen bag. So it is a crossbody. It is a crossbody bag, and I think that for knitted bags, I think linen is definitely the best material for it, because you don't get that sort of stretch that you would if it was, let's say, acrylic or wool. So it pretty much keeps its shape throughout. You just have to reshape it whilst it's wet after washing. Yeah, so what the yarn I used is the Blackbird linen by Pearl Soho. It was 100-gram skein that I had. I didn't actually have enough to complete the handle, so I knew that I wanted to have a crossbody bag, and so I used the leftovers from my linen t-shirt. And yeah, I started with the Pearl Soho dumpling bag. So for the shape, so you cast on, I think it was like 100 stitches with a provisional cast on. And as I told you before, well, in a previous video, I don't do well with provisional cast-ons until I found the Kayak method, which I have made a video on. So I started with the provisional cast-on the bottom here with my main colour, and then I started to knit the long strap, and then I ran out of yarn with the purple leftovers that I had, and yeah, and then I actually kept some of the main yarn to close the bottom, but then I thought, okay, to sort of tie in the extra, you know, the purple on the strap, just knit as much as I can from the bottom. So I lengthened it with the main colour, and then knit a little bit extra and did the drafting closed with the Kitchener stitch, using the purple to tie it all together a little bit. And yeah, so that is my linen across the body bag. I had a pile of leftovers from various projects that I've recently finished, and what I thought I wanted to do is make, I'll actually put them on. Let's make some mittens, some scrappy mittens. So here we go. So I already have a couple of pairs of Manhattan mitts by Tori Yu. So, and I wear them all the time. So I thought, okay, why not do another pair of, these are not Manhattan, the Manhattan mitts. I just did a regular smegular stockinette scrappy knit mitt. And yeah, just random really, because I just really like using up like all of the skein, just to make use of, because yarn can be expensive. At least some of the yarns that I really like can be quite expensive. So my yarn stash is not there to be looked at, it's there to be used. And so having these tiny little skeins, I want to make stuff with them, not just have them just in a box somewhere. I used the stitch count for the Manhattan mitts, but rather than do the one by one rib for the mitts, I just stock in it. Sometimes I wear all black outfits, so it's nice to have these sort of scrappy, hippie, boho type mittens just popping out. So it's a nice pop of colours. So yeah, so that's the third finished object. An extra thing that I really like with scrappy projects is just choosing the colours. So what I like to do is just roll them up into mini balls and then knit until they're finished, and then knit the next colour. And I like sort of just choosing what colours come next. Okay, so those are my finished objects for February. I actually thought I would have 4, but alas, whips. So, alright, the first whip. No, let's go. Okay, so in my last podcast episode, I thought I would have dedicated February to finish my husband's Anchors sweater. But like I said, this month I've needed easy wins, and I haven't really felt like sort of dealing with this yarn. Like, it just doesn't feel nice on the hands, and it's merino, and yeah, it's not so great. So, but I'm not doing too badly. Still got to finish the bottom, because my husband wants it quite long. So still got a bit left, plus the ribbing for the body, and then to start the two sleeves. So so that has not gotten very much attention this month, but again, my husband's not in a rush for it, so no problem. So that's that. Tuck that out of the way. And then the next finished object is the Modern Mudcloth sweater by Chinua Matthews. Now, this was my Black History Month. Sorry, I'm in a tangle here right now. This is my Black History Month make along make. That makes sense. And okay, that was just the stitch marker, the beginning of the round stitch marker. So let's see if I can show you a bit of the stitch pattern. So there you go. So that will be the front, and sleeves going round. So yeah, I've made a start, and I only really that will be the back. I only really knit a couple of rounds, because one round on this, because you've got one separate pattern for the back, one separate pattern for the sleeves, and then the same for the front, sorry, a different one for the front. So it takes me a while, and it's literally, I have to sit at my craft desk and knit, because it's not really a sit and, you know, just chill wherever and knit. This kind of needs quite a lot of attention. So I haven't really made much progress on it, but hey, it's a slow, this will be, I think, a very long project. Let's put my stitch marker back on, because that's hella important. That is my mud cloth. I need to check in to see how others are getting on with their Black History Month make along. So it will be quite nice to see how other people's projects are progressing. So I'm going to put this back before I do some mischief. Okay, so those were my finished, no, my whips. So then I have one more whip. Where are you? So this is a 1x1 ribbed tube, but so I was watching a video that unlocked a memory. When I was about 18, many years ago, I used to have quite long dreads, and I used to wear them up, sort of up in a sort of bun, and wear a hat but without a crown. Yeah. And so I was watching a video, and the lady on the video had her hair exactly like that, with wearing a hat that looked like a beanie but without the crown, right? So that unlocked the memory that I used to wear my hair like that. I need to make a similar hat. Some leftovers. So this is I just remembered I didn't give you any of the yarns that I'm using, even though I have talked about the woolly knit cones for the mud cloth. It's a bit of a chaotic one today. So the mud cloth is both the white and the black woolly knit cone, 500-gram cones, and this is some woolly we are knitters wool. I don't know what it is because it doesn't have a label. Like, got it as a gift. So yeah, I use this for the sharp keys on my cushion. Probably knit it to be let's say quite long, so that, you know, it ends here and here, so I can have it over my ears, and then it means that I can just tie my hair in a bun and I'll be Rasta gal. Right, anyway, so those were my February projects. I put a call for some questions because I thought I would insert a little Q&A. So the first question was by an account, a profile called Winter Does Crafts, and they've asked, what is my favourite knit and why? So I have to be honest. So I watch a few podcasts or knitters with YouTube channels who say that they don't really wear their makes, which I don't really understand. I wear almost everything that I make, and most days I'm wearing a piece of knitwear that I have made myself, like, without doubt. Yeah, I make stuff to wear and I make stuff to use. So I had to think about this question, and I have settled upon one garment and one accessory. So let's pause the knitting to show you the garment, shall we? So let's go first with the garment. So this garment is more about how it's worn, and also what was happening while I was knitting on it. Oh, it smells like soap. Really nice. So the pattern is just the No Frills sweater by Petite Knit, and it's knit with woolly cone held double. And so this is a few years old, and I've just says hand knit by Natalie. Yeah, so this is the No Frills sweater. It's clean, and it's so let's go for how it's held up. So this is probably about 3 years old now. I might need to just debobble it and maybe sort of reinforce under the arms, but I have to say this fabric has worn amazingly. Like, I just want to snuggle it right now. It's really soft and buttery, and yeah. So it's held up really well, and I also made my husband an identical sweater, and he uses that quite a lot as well. I knit on them at the same time. So I would knit like 10 centimeters on mine, then 10 centimeters on his. But then while I was knitting on it, while I was making the sweaters, unfortunately we found out that my father, who lived in the Caribbean, was pretty sick. So myself and my 4 siblings went out to the Caribbean to be with my father, to spend time with him during his last days. Brought both sweaters with me, and even in the sweltering tropical heat of the Caribbean, I used to sit on the veranda and knit, because obviously it was a difficult time. My dad was terminally ill. We were going through a lot at that time, and so I would sit and knit, and even having this sweater on my lap in the sweltering heat, it didn't bother me. I just, the rounds and rounds and rounds of stockinette just was an immense source of comfort. So in a way, it kind of just reminds me of that time. And also it was the sweater that I showed my dad, and I was really happy with it, and he was really proud of me. And yeah, it got me through. It was almost like an emotional support project. So, and then not to mention how it's aged. It's nothing special, it's a plain sweater, but that's my favourite knitted garment. And then I've chosen an accessory, and this one doesn't smell as good. Well, it doesn't smell bad, but it does need a wash. And this is the Malibu. It's my cat saying hello. It's the Malibu shawl by Isabel Kramer, and I really love this. I'm gonna be real, it wasn't that fun to knit, to be honest with you, but the finished project, the finished garment, I really love, and I get loads of compliments on it. I usually wear it like this, and then I'm good, sort of bundled up, and I'm good to go to embrace the cold weather. I really, I have something about blue and white or blue and cream stripes. Um, I really, I'm not really a blue kind of person. I don't really like blue, but I do like blue and cream or blue and white stripes. And I don't know, just something about the color combinations of the red, white, and blue that I love. I like the fact that it does look like an aerial view of Malibu. It's about it, and it's warm. So this was knit up using Garthenor Priselli for the blue. So the blue is Cadet Garthenor, and then the red is like crimson, something like that. And the cream was a gift from my mother-in-law, and that was some BFL singles from Eden Yarns. So those were the yarns that I used for this project. I actually want to put it on now, but it does need a wash. And I don't think I have washed it since I washed and blocked it. It's probably, when did I finish it? September time, I think. So it probably could do with a nice wash and another block, really. But those are my favourite knits. Editing Natalie here. And I just looked down at my feet, just thought, okay, no, I am actually wearing the MVP of socks right now. So these are the Stephen West's Painting Bricks socks, and they are just like amazing. I love them so much. I have to make another pair. These are also scrappy, but yeah, they're probably my favourite make socks. Don't watch my carpet, it's cleaning day tomorrow. Okay, so let's continue knitting. Let's have a drink. Okay, so the second question was from Stephanie Williams. Hi, Stephanie, and thank you for your question. And she asked, what techniques challenge me as a knitter? I always try to, with every pattern that I make, I always try to incorporate a new technique. So I'm always progressing, moving my skills along a little bit. But I definitely do struggle a lot sometimes with techniques. And I also, I don't think I've ever made a project that didn't have some error, some modicum of error or mistake. And I guess that's part of hand making. We're not machines, so we are going to make errors, we're going to make mistakes, read the pattern wrongly, or drop a stitch, and these things happen and largely accepted. I do sometimes feel a little bit embarrassed about having a podcast and having mistakes on show and things like that, but who cares at the end of the day? I mean, it's not a big deal. Let's keep it real. Let's just enjoy the craft that we all love. The thing with knitting is that there are always ways. If you find a particular technique difficult, there are always ways to get around that. There are, for example, I couldn't get my head around Judy's Magic cast on. Thanks to Roxanne Richardson, who taught me the Turkish cast on, which is another way to do the same thing. Same with the provisional cast on. So if you can't do the provisional cast on, there are other methods to doing it. So it's never really an issue. In the past, I've also talked about lace, having difficulty with lace because I always mess things up. And with lace, unlike, let's say, with like stockinette or other similar types of stitches, where if you drop a stitch, for example, I find that if you make a mistake with lace, it is really pronounced, like there's nowhere to hide. So yeah, I think that's my big one, lace, working lace. But I reckon, dealing with certain techniques to help to mitigate, difficulties with lace. So for example, using stitch markers after every repeat will help you stay on track with lace. So I will aim to, once I have made more progress, significantly more progress on the anchor sweater for my husband and also the modern mud cloth sweater, my next knit in the queue will be the heirloom sweater, which has the really lovely front panel, lace front panel. So that is my next project that prominently features lace, and I really would not want to mess up a front panel like that. So I guess we will see if I have managed to improve that technique. So I would love to know what techniques that you guys find difficult with in knitting, and how you manage to overcome those difficulties. So let me know in the comments. So additionally, let me know if you have a favorite knit, especially if it's a pattern that you can leave drop in the comments, and we can go and check it out and perhaps discover new designers, discover new patterns for ourselves. So please also leave those down below. So I think I am going to leave this episode here. I hope that you are knitting on something that brings you immense joy, and I hope you will subscribe to my channel also. And I really enjoy connecting with you all, so please continue to comment, write me. Let's try to create community. So anyway, I will leave you here. I bid you a happy March, and I will speak to you on the next one. Bye.